Hey guys, and welcome back to another Doctor Who related video. First of all, I'd like to apologise for my quite long absence from this channel over the last couple of months, but there has been a bit of a pandemic going on around the world, and the YouTube side has sort of taken a bit of a back seat. But hopefully, as we start to get back to normal, I can start making more videos. There's stuff coming out which I can review, which is great. I can meet up with my friend Brad to finally get around to filming this reaction video to some classic stories, which is going to be a good laugh now that we can hopefully soon do that. So yeah, but for this video, as sort of my comeback to this channel, I thought I'd go back and do a follow-up to two of my most popular videos, which is bizarre, the custom videos, which somehow, and I'd love to know how or why, have got about 1,700 viewers each, which is just insane. So I thought I'd do a third video showing which customs I've made since I filmed them original two videos. So let's kick off with a revisitation of a custom that was in that second video, I think it was, which is the Ruth Doctor. Now, this was, I think I explained how I made this figure in my original video. All I've done since is I've repainted the head and the hands to be a better match for Jo Martin. I was never quite happy with the original skin tone, and I've also changed the legs to the 12th Doctor's legs and boots. Now it just looks a bit better. It looks more accurate. When I first made the figure, we had very few publicity photos of her. So now it's as accurate as I can sort of get it, really. Next up, we have another pretty simple custom, sticking on the lines of the 13th Doctor. We have the 13th Doctor, but this time with rolled up sleeves from, I like to say, Arachnids in the UK, purely because of the bum bag. It could be from a number of stories, really. I added the bum bag just because when it came with the pink t-shirt figure, when that came out earlier in the year, it wasn't quite accurate, I didn't think, because you never, to my knowledge, see her wear the pink t-shirt with the bum bag. So I took the bum bag off because it is removable. I stuck it on a spare normal figure, and then I thought, how can I make it a bit better? I know, I'll do the rolled up sleeves, which are from a Amy Pond in Police Uniform figure. I tried to match the paint as best as I can. It looks quite jarring on camera, but in person you can't really see it, so I'm pretty happy with that. It doesn't really stand up, which is annoying, so I'm gonna put it there, then hopefully it doesn't fall over. Next up, we have a very recent custom, actually, and it is Davros from the upcoming Big Finish story, the Time War Volume 4. This was a great custom to make, actually, because I can't take all the credit for it. The head was courtesy of the incredible Nathan Ward, who took casts of the original Terry Malloy head and was selling them painted or unpainted on his eBay store. I bought this unpainted from his eBay store for, I think, about £10, and it was worth every penny if we just look in more detail at it. The sculpting is incredible on that head, and it's been translated perfectly to a cast. So all I had to do was repaint it in the brown colours and give it a wash. I added the neck brace and removed the silver buckles. That was it, really. It was a very simple custom to make, actually, but I'm very much looking forward to the upcoming Time War series. So we just pop that over there. Sticking on the subject of cast heads, I made a couple of Anthony Ainley master figures. Again, these heads came courtesy of Nathan Ward. I bought these painted from him because I'm not the best at painting heads. I'll hold my hands up to that. So I decided to make 2 figures. One based on his regular appearance costume in Castrovalva, King's Demons, Mark of the Rani, etc. And the other based on survival. So first taking a look at the regular one, this was a Roger Delgado figure. I cut the collar away and then sculpted the shoulder pads and all the buttons on. Just painted it all black. The tails were from a 10th Doctor figure. I'm still not entirely happy with the tails, but they'll do. And I painted the sort of neck detailing on, which was a pain to do. And I also did the TCE, which is just a Matt Smith sonic screwdriver. Why not? It's similar enough. The survival figure, which is one of my favourite costumes for the Master actually, was a John Sim figure. In fact, it was the Roger Delgado Master custom that I made from Terror of the Autons in my first video. I took that figure apart, cut the tie off it, added the bow tie and the button, and just repainted it. And I have to say, I'm very happy with it. Very happy with it, in fact. So yeah, that was, again, courtesy of Nathan Ward, who does an absolutely stellar job with these casts. My next custom is one that I did just on one afternoon because I was a bit bored, if truth be told, and it was a very simple custom actually to do. And it was Graham O'Brien in the brown jacket from, I think, Demons of the Punjab. Very simple, you know, you can pretty much work out what I did. This uses the same brown paint actually that I used on Davros's head, just because I had some in a pot. Yeah, very simple. I made it just because I had a spare lying around, because I bought 2 by accident when the figure came out. Oh, my base just moved. So yeah, very easy custom to make, and one that I'm very happy with. Next up we have, this was my first real attempt at sculpting something major. Obviously in my last video I sculpted bits for the Eric Roberts Master, and I can't quite remember what other customs I made in them other 2 videos. But here I've made the Cybershade. Because I just watched the Next Doctor and thought, oh, a Cybershade would be pretty neat to have on the shelf. This was a Lilith figure, which was a pretty good fit, but the head was all sculpted, and I'm pretty happy with how it's come out actually. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. The handlebars were a paper clip, of all things, with all the rivets sculpted in. But yeah, I'm very happy with this one actually. It turned out pretty well. Next up we have a bit of a debunked custom now, because we are getting an official figure in B&M in just a couple of weeks, and that is Romana II. However, this figure is based on City of Death, whereas the official one is based on Destiny of the Daleks. I was pretty happy with this figure when I made it. Now I look at it compared to the official figure and think that this is awful. But as the first real attempt for me painting a face, I don't think it turned out too badly. I mean, she looks a little shocked, but I've gotten better, I think. I'm pretty happy with the hair. The hair's come out pretty well. And the hat. You can probably tell that it's a Missy figure. Literally just repainted, with the exception of the face. Yeah, boots, white and red. Annoyingly, I used a purple jacket Missy, which you can tell because I didn't paint the inside. So I had to paint the entire figure black. In hindsight, I probably should have just used a black costumed Missy, but I found that was too simple. But yeah, again, that took a few hours, and that'll probably be relegated to the fodder box when the official one comes out. Next up, we have a bit of another revisitation from an old custom that I showed in a previous video, and it is the 13th Doctor in Tuxedo. One of my favourite looks for the 13th Doctor, actually. If you remember back in my last video, I wasn't entirely happy with it because the shirt was a bit too, it looked a bit rubbish. I sculpted a different piece for the buttons and it just didn't look right. It didn't look right in my eyes. So what I've done this time is I've re-sculpted the shirt, and instead I've sculpted the buttons into the shirt rather than onto the shirt, if that makes any sense. Probably doesn't. And the bow tie is different. It's a Matt Smith bow tie because the original bow tie is what I used on the Master. So I'm chopping and changing bits. But yeah, I'm very happy with this figure now. And that can go there. Next up is the first in a bit of a companions series. Because what with the B&M figures that got revealed, it made me think, well, wouldn't it be nice to have a complete collection of companions on the shelf? You know, now that we're getting Romanas and Benton and Yates and classic Sarahs. So I started off, weirdly enough, by making Adric. This was just because I had a Laszlo figure lying around and a Rose Tyler head. And I'm pretty happy with this. I'm not entirely happy with it. I might go back and change a few things. But I sculpted all of this piece, added the string, which is actual string. Sculpted the hair onto Rose's head. I don't know why I used Rose's head. Maybe it's because the figure doesn't look entirely like Billie Piper, so it could be anyone. The star was just painted. I know it needs a gold trim, but yeah, I'm not entirely. I'm gonna go back and revisit this one because it needs the light green boots added to it, and I might just change the colour of the overalls slightly. But I'm relatively happy with it. Next up, we have one that I wasn't entirely happy with showing in my last video, so I didn't show it. And it is the Sacha Dhawan Master. This figure has been a pain to make. I probably made about 4 or 5 versions of this figure and just never been happy with it. But I'm finally happy with it now. So you can probably work out what I used. It's a 11th Doctor purple coat figure, as you can tell by the jacket. And all of this, I took away the bow tie, sculpted that over. Painted all the checks, which were awful to paint. And then the head was the tricky bit to get right. I originally used a David Tennant 10th Doctor head, but changed the hair and it just looked like the 10th Doctor. But what this is it's a DC Collectibles, DC Icons, John Stewart Green Lantern head, which I had to sculpt all the hair for because the figure or the character is bald in the comics. And then I sculpted the neck to it. And then painted the hands and the beard. And it's turned out pretty well, I think. I'm not entirely happy with it, but I finally got the hair sort of how he has it, you know, sort of drooped down. So yeah, this will suffice on my Master shelf, on my Jodie Whittaker shelf. Next up, we have a couple of customs based on the upcoming Time Lord Victorious, which I'm really looking forward to. I might make a separate video on Time Lord Victorious if you want to hear my thoughts and opinions, because there is quite a lot to digest from it. But I decided to make the first of a couple of customs which from the project, which were the 9th Doctor and Brian the Ood. Taking a look first of all at the 9th Doctor, it's very simple. It's a 9th Doctor with a beige jumper. That's it. I wish there was more to it. There really isn't. So that's it. So I'll just pop that back there. Looking at Brian the Ood, however, this one's a bit more interesting It started off life as an Ood figure, obviously, and a 10th Doctor in Tuxedo. And my original plan was simply to just swap the heads. It wasn't going to happen. The neck for the Ood was far too big. So I had to trim all that down, and then I sort of butchered the shirt and the bow tie section in the process. So I ended up just sculpting a new shirt and gluing it all together and painting the translator orb and the hands, and it's turned out pretty well, actually. I'm very happy with how it looks. Yeah, it's a weird design, but I really like it. Yeah, that's Brian the Ood. Who knows where he fits into Time Lord Victorious? I have no idea. I'm looking forward to finding out where that character comes into it. The next one is a bit of a work in progress. It is the Wheeling Space Cyberman. Now, I say work in progress because I've used the wrong type of paint on it, and it's still incredibly tacky, even though I made it like 3 months ago. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to repaint it, maybe resculpt this neck bit. So yeah, but this was just a way of trying to complete the cyber ranks on my shelf. I'm quite happy with how all this looks. It's a pain to do. I did it on a nice afternoon, and I won't say that I sort of regret it, but I sort of regret it. Next up is another custom that I've been toying with for years, and it was a very tricky custom to get right, actually, and it was Rusty the Dalek, the good Dalek from Into the Dalek and Twice Upon a Time. Again, it was a very tricky custom to get right, because how far do you go with the damage and the wires? Who knows? Originally, when I made this figure, I made it far too damaged, and I thought it just looks like I've taken a hammer to a Dalek figure. So, ironically enough, part of my process for making this figure was to repaint it to look like a new Dalek, and then add all the wires, cut the hemispheres off here, add the wires, and I'm pretty happy with how it looks now, actually. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. It wasn't a radio controlled Dalek, so I had to repaint this section here, but fortunately you can't tell. So yeah, I'm very happy with this one, and it adds something to the bare bones Peter Capaldi shelf. Final three, we're getting there now. I know this video is incredibly long, and I apologise for that. And yeah, you can hear my dog barking downstairs. I apologise for that. We have Tegan Jovanka, another work in progress figure, because I haven't matched up all the skin tones yet. But I'm very happy with this one. It was a mix of a Perry, an Abby Maitland figure, and a Amy Pond with an Idris head, randomly. It doesn't stand up very well, which is slightly annoying, so I'm going to pop this one over here. Final two, and these are sort of companion pieces because they're both from the Patrick Troughton era. We have Jamie and Victoria. Jamie is by far the biggest sculpting challenge I've ever had with a custom figure. So if I just look at Jamie first, and then we'll come to Victoria. This was an Auton with Leela's legs, which I had to just stick to each other. It looked a bit weird to begin with a Stephen Hart Primeval head, just because it doesn't look anything like Fraser Hines, but you'd be struggling to find a head that looks anything like Fraser Hines to begin with. So I had to make do. I had to then sculpt the scarf thing, the neckerchief. The jacket is actually an Auton jacket that I trimmed, and then I had to sculpt the kilt and the sporran, add the pin, which was actually added because my mum said it doesn't look right without the pin, and she was dead right, actually. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with this one, actually. It's one of my favourites because it was really quite ambitious in terms of sculpting, which challenged me, and I like that. Finally, we have Victoria. made from a Helen Cutter primeval figure, and then just all of this was resculpted to add the shirt and add the collar and the buttons, and add this sort of trim to the jacket. And then I sculpted these bits to make the sleeves long, because the actual figure, the sleeves ended at the elbows, and then I just repainted it. Quite a simple custom actually, but one that was a bit challenging for different reasons. Ooh, is it going to stand up? Is it going to stand up? I don't think it is it? So I'll just have this leaning against Rusty. So there we have it, guys. There is all the customs that I've made in or before lockdown. I'm very happy with a lot of these customs. Some of them I'm going to tinker with a bit more, but on the whole, I'm very happy with most of these customs. This has been a hell of a long video, so if you've made it this far, congratulations. Let me know what content you want to see from me going forward, as I can start to make more videos, more custom videos. I might even make a custom live. That might be quite interesting. So drop me a comment down below, or message me on Instagram or Twitter at GallifreyStands, same as here. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, whatever that may be, whenever that may be. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio.